Let me begin with, taking some first steps in terms of why we need technology in education. The usual yarn is given out there, but you'll see the process which starts from the content side specifically, which is on the extreme right where you have the curriculum area. Once the content is there, you need the teacher who wants to showcase it, so there is an infrastructure part which comes into play. Once the infrastructure is there, you need an assessment mechanism. But how do you make it sustainable becomes the biggest question. You'll see cloud computing where Sir talked about putting all the content, porting the content out there. How this content is going to be accessed could be your normal desktop computers or tablets or even mobile phones. A lot of you are parents and you would have realized that even schools have become pretty smart and tech savvy. Like yesterday I got an SMS that my son's bus is late. And it is running delayed by 20 minutes. It never used to happen 4 or 5 years back, but we have got used to it. So I inform my wife, who in turn, ensures that she's going later to the bus stop or whatever it is. We are working with the state government of Tamil Nadu, where specifically differently abled children can move their limbs, or people with cerebral palsy can actually use it as a gaming process and learn about the things that they want to. What is the student life cycle management? When did he pay the fees? When does he, graduate? Do I do the degree online, offline, all that? And then comes personalized learning. Personalized learning is when you need to unlearn, relearn, and unlearn again. And you're going to have one-to-one communications. So there's something around that also, where if you see the concept, and in India we are actually seeing that more and more, where we started off with dial-up and we're moving up the value chain. You'll see a concept out there from a connectivity perspective called white space. What exactly is white space? In India right now, there is digitization which is happening where cables are getting replaced by the set-top boxes. The spectrum that is left behind is the white space, which Africa and other emerging countries are actually using for education. Now, this is a very interesting concept that's going to come in down the line. Also, you'll see a lot of crowdsourcing. What is crowdsourcing? I don't know a topic. He talks about strategic, management. I'm not sure what is the concept. I asked 10 friends. All these 10 friends, dole in that information. I get a semblance or a wave of it, what exactly is strategic management. And then I build on it, I do my research, my analysis, my synthesis around that. So that also becomes very important. But there is always this concern. So the transitions which are happening, the kids are getting very, very dependent. There's a nice cartoon out there where probably down the line, I think a year or two, where schools may be actually asking kids to come with their BYODs and, look up an app which is specifically on that subject. And they'll turn to that app. So that's also, something which is happening. What we realized is, to enable all this, you need to have trained people. So we started off by empowering teachers in the K-12 sector. Then we said that is fine. Once you empower them, you need to recognize them for the work that they're doing. Once you recognize them, give them a platform or a community in which they can go and interact with other people. For instance, if I am a teacher in India and I am teaching photosynthesis, how does a teacher in Australia teach photosynthesis? Is it similar or is it different? So I get this platform to do it. So we build that platform with 4 million teachers out there. Then can you get them to connect over the cloud? Can you look at gaming as a concept which is going to come in? Or can you put productivity on the cloud itself? But to do all this, you need faculty or teachers who are literate, who are digitally literate. So we run a small program called dsaksharta.in, which is a free online program for learning nuances of IT, available in Hindi, Bengali, Malayalam, all languages like those. And anybody can go ahead and get a Microsoft certification free of cost on the site. Then we said, how do you build skill sets of technology? Can you offer e-learning courses online, which are about 300, 400, and let people certify for them again online? Again, that was something which we did, and some sites are mentioned below. But then I said, gaming is an important concept. So if you look at gaming typically, it has critically 4 components. You have the cognitive part, you have the social part, emotional when you are, interacting with others, and the experiences which follow. How is it related to learning and education? That's a good question. And what you'll see is, if you look at some of the highlighted points in terms of, problem solving. So if I'm playing a war game, I need to actually understand which room I go into or whom do I need to kill. So there is a problem at hand, I need to solve that. How am I going to do it? I may collaborate with him. I may figure out he may have a strategy in mind, and we go ahead and do that. The second concept which comes in is, how do you ensure that, you're not doing the wrong thing? So military, for example, uses virtual and simulation labs to a large extent. They can't go and, kill our people at the borders. You need to have those simulation labs. And the good part of gaming is that it allows you that flexibility where failure is not, taken into a bad sense. You learn from it and you move ahead. Very interesting. If you see this figure, what I have shown, what is it? Is it a duck or is it a rabbit? So that's what gaming is about. Either it is learning or it is sheer fun. And that's what we need to figure out as folks. But what I wanted to end with is just one aspect, that the solutions don't lie in technology. They lie in what people can do with the technology.